Great. My name is Bogáta Timár. I'm from University of Tartu, MTU Hőimölőimed. I'm from Hungary and I've been living in Estonia for a while. And welcome to this session, which is mainly on the focus of the Permic peoples, Udmurts and Komi and Permyaks. I would first grab the opportunity to let the panelists introduce themselves. Aleksei?
Hello, my name is Aleksei Ivanov. I am Komi myself, and I was political activist in Russia, and now I am a refugee in Estonia. I work in Tartu University in Tartu NLP group, and currently we are developing language technologies for all Finno-Ugric languages.
Thank you. Natalia?
Hello everybody, my name is Natalia Kovylyaeva. I'm currently a doctoral student at the University of Tartu, where I'm writing dissertation about feminist movements in Putin's Russia. Originally I'm from Kudymkar. I was born there, so I'm a representative of Komi-Permyak nation. And currently I'm also a political activist and also a refugee in Estonia. And today is actually exactly 6 years since I left Russia and I'm being here.
You have an anniversary now.
Yeah.
Congrats. Lana?
Hello everyone, my name is Lana Pylaeva. I am also a representative of Komi people. I was born and raised in Syktyvkar, and now I'm a head of a media project Komi Daily.
Yes, Alex, I think we can move on with you.
Yeah, I'm Anisimovs from Riga, Latvia. I'm a lawyer and owner of NGO in Riga, Latvia. So I'm representing here Vepsians, and I'm also half Komi-Permyak, so that's why I'm here. And I will probably make some short presentation about Vepsians to make you know our minor nationality better. Yeah. So if it's organized already, then okay, it can be a bit later with my presentation. We can start.
Okay. So while they are working on the presentation, let's talk about what the situation is in Komi and in Udmurtia. So I know that in Russia it could be quite grim. What can you say about the status of the minorities peoples in their region? Natalia, can you start?
Yeah, I can start. So I'm coming from the Komi-Permyak region, and you know that the Komi-Permyak region was actually the first ever case of centralization of the Russian regions. So it all started in 2003, and the process was finalized in 2005 with this referendum that the Russian authorities made there. I still remember, like, I was 8 years old, how Putin came to my hometown, basically, and his helicopter flying over my house. So back in the days, yes, it was finalized, and the process of centralization of Russian regions actually started from the Komi-Permyak region. So, which actually means that Komi-Permyak region lost its direct dotations from the federal budget. It's now going on through Perm, which has become the capital of Perm Krai. We lost our 2 representatives in the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation, so there are no Komi-Permyak voices right now in the Russian parliament, so nobody can basically talk about the rights and the needs of Komi-Permyak people at this federal level. Also, in terms of culture and language, you know, I've been studying at the best gymnasium in my hometown, and thing is that I never had a class of Komi-Permyak language there. We had 3 classes of Russian language every week. We had English language, French, but no Komi-Permyak language, which actually says a lot about the politics also of local authorities in terms of preserving the local culture, local language, and identity of Komi-Permyak people. So the thing is also that Komi-Permyak language has been discriminated by Komi-Permyaks themselves. There was this local hate towards people who were speaking Komi-Permyak language instead of Russian, and their rights have been like diminished. And I also remember this from my family, that my grandparents were speaking Komi-Permyak at home between each other, but never to their kids or to their grandchildren, because they were scared that if I start speaking Komi-Permyak language, I might actually have this Komi-Permyak accent, which, yeah, they didn't want to have in me. So yes, and right now, with this situation regarding the war in Ukraine, the local authorities are trying to actually give some kind of benefits to those people who are signing the contracts with the Ministry of Defense. And some of the recent news from Komi-Permyak region is that the Kudymkar authorities, which is the capital of Komi-Permyak region, are paying 100,000 rubles to those who sign the contract, and this is paid in addition to those money that people get when they sign the contracts. In other villages and municipalities of Komi-Permyak region, it's not 100,000, a bit less, but still. They're trying to basically ask Komi-Permyak men to go to the war, which is basically not their war, but yes. So I think I will stop here and maybe give a floor to other participants, and if there are some additional questions, I can also clarify it.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you. What's the situation in the Komi Republic? Alex, can you talk about that?
Yeah, in Komi Republic situation is much better than in Komi-Perm region, because we have whole republic and Komi people are presented there, and we still can speak our language, and Komi language is sound in parliament. Like recently there were like some scandals about it, the wrong translation and other stuff. So in schools I had Komi language as a like native language. We were studying it fully in Komi, but my brother, who lives in the small town, the name is Kulamdin, and in Russian it's Ust-Kulam, and it's like town of 5,000 people, and they learn Komi language as a foreign language, so they study in Russian instead of Komi. So the level of education is pretty low, but language is still alive, I would say. And politically, it's tough because there is like policy of Russification still going, and the language itself also is kind of Russifying pretty fast. And about the war, people were protesting there, and I was. They charged some criminal cases against the protesters, and I had to leave Russia because of it, because they charged criminal case. But political activists are still there, and I am pretty sure that when changing times will come, future would be not that bad as it is now.
Thank you. Lana, do you have anything to add to what Aleksei is saying?
Yeah, a little bit. So I studied in Syktyvkar, and I did not have any hours of Komi or Komi literature, Komi culture, anything during my all 11 years of school. So I think the situation is very different in the cities versus villages or regions in Komi. And I would also like to add that now there is a repression wave going on in the Komi Republic, which started in the middle of July, when there were searches in an independent space in Syktyvkar and in the people who worked together with this place. And still to this day, just yesterday, there were some searches in the activists and journalists' homes. So currently the situation, I would not, it's getting worse. So, and also in regard with the language, if you know, there is a very laughable move by the government to reduce the hours for mother tongue in the elementary school because of the hygiene restrictions for the small kids. So basically they introduced lots of new subjects such as, let's talk about the important stuff, разговоры о важном, and so on. And now the program, the hours that kids are allowed to study in the elementary school, there is a certain restriction to this, and they decided to drop the native tongue hours from the program. And in general, in many schools in Komi Republic, often in some schools, in some schools there is no position for the Komi teacher, and Komi language is now an optional topic of mother tongue. So basically, the kids' parents are to decide what they want to study, and as I said, in elementary school, the language hours have been reduced, but in the high school, these hours for this optional training, you can choose either to learn your mother tongue or to continue learning Russian. And actually, many teachers force the parents to choose Russian because in these hours they are preparing for the final exams. Like you have after finishing the 9th grade and 11th grade. So many parents, they want best for their kids and they opt for extra Russian hours just to prepare better for these final exams.
Thank you. I think this is a nice time to have Alex have the floor about the webs. So is his presentation ready?
Hello again. So I prepared for you this presentation. So as I'm half Vepsian and half Komi-Permyak, I know more about Vepsians, and Vepsians are still living in Russia on this Karelia and also on the border of Leningrad and Vologda regions of Russia. So the webs, this is the more right name to name Vepsians, and the Vepsian language in modern Russia and the world. So who are the webs? The webs are one of the smallest Finno-Ugric nationalities, minorities, They settled before Lake Ladoga, Lake Onega, this situated in the Karelia and the Leningrad region of Russia. And also, they like in the middle of nowhere. They exist, of course, but they are very native, like nature, and forests, lakes, and so on are main their land. So a bit of history. First mentions go back to the Viking Age. They were called Ves in some chronicles. For centuries they lived quietly, farming, fishing. Fishing was mainly, and also entrepreneurship, let's say, on the modern manner. Why there? Because there were rivers connected trade routes, and also lakes, big lakes. Yeah, think of the close to the highway, let's say. Yeah, so close to the water highways. Yeah, we lived, and still we live there on the big rivers. For example, River Svir to the Onega lake and so on. How many webs today? According to the 2021 data, yeah, only about 3,600 people in Russia identify as webs. Only. A century ago, there were tens of thousands. How it could be possible? Yeah, why it happened? Stalin's repressions, Большой terror, yeah, big terror from Stalin, assimilation, deleting languages and identity, and migration cut their numbers dramatically. So today they are officially classified as a small indigenous people of the North. So less and less people know who are webs people. Identity and survival. Despite the tiny numbers, webs proudly keep their identity in language, culture, food. So Vepsian language is still taught in some schools in Karelia, Petrozavodsk, for example. They publish books, so the language exists itself. It's Latinic words, letters. Yeah, we have dictionaries and even newspapers. We have. Yeah. Imagine the whole newspaper that probably everyone knows the editor personally because yeah, very tiny people read it. And this picture is pastry named kalitki. Yeah, so it's traditional Vepsian food baked in the own oven. Yeah. Cultural traditions. So strong folklore, songs, fairy tales, and epic poetry exists. Yeah. Some wooden architecture. For example, in a place named Oshta, or in some places where webs still are living, exists some wooden architecture, wooden churches, for example. Berry picking, fishing, yeah, mushrooms in the forests. Traditional clothing exists, yeah, and some shirts and boots. Some fun facts. Nickname, yeah, sometimes webs called chuts, yeah, chut in Russian. In some old chronicles, chut mean that special people, let's say. So maybe that's because we were very little amount of webs, and if webs exist somewhere, came to big city, they named special like chut. We have also ilu, for example, it's home brewed beer, very tasty. And we share cultural DNA with Finns, Estonians, and Karelians, and yes, sauna is a part of our life also. Why we should care about webs? Because even small nations matter. They carry unique history and culture and language. Yeah, languages still exist. Not so many people speak Vepsian language, but some families speak. For example, my grandfather spoke only Vepsian language, but my grandmother already have no clue about it. She spoke only Russian language. The webs prove you don't need to be extremely strong to survive as people. Their story is about resilience, language, and keeping traditions alive. Plus, they probably fish better than most of us. Fishing, yeah? Thank you. My email here, and you can ask any questions about Vepsians to me and connect with me personally. Thank you.
Thank you. So all of you are living abroad, so not in your original, not your place of origin, but you all keep connection with your homeland. So can you talk about like what you are doing for your community, and what is your like relationship with them? Alex?
What do you mean by what you do for?
Yes, so at least, for example, I know that you are working for the Tartu NLP.
Yeah, but it has nothing about contacting people from there. But yeah, we are making a language or a natural language processing tools. Basically, for example, we have published the machine translation system that supports, like I would say, most of the Finno-Ugric languages, not on the equally good level, but some of them work really good now, and everyone can use it. So about the connections with the Republic, I talk to people there, also to the activists, to my family, and the situation in the society is really kind of rotten, I would say, and people are afraid of talking about anything publicly, and they prefer keep all the political talks, like talks about the cultural activism and other stuff, planning things only privately. And I would say they mostly are waiting for the changing times, and there is no reason to expect anything real happening there in the republics in Russia, because it's like really dangerous there currently. I think in my personal opinion it's much more dangerous than it was in the Soviet times, and the current Russian Federation is the state for Russians only, so that's why it's dangerous to even have this idea of being not Russian.
So you talk with each other, but like in survival mode, basically.
Yeah, and many people here abroad asking people in Russia to be open, but as Lana said, that there are real oppressions that are happening even today.
Yeah. Lana, you are working with Komi Daily, and can you talk a bit about that endeavor?
Yeah, I would mention that we were labeled a terrorist organization, so we only exist abroad. We are 2 people. And we publish materials regarding language, Komi culture, current situation, economic, politics, and so on. And we mostly focus on long reads. So we have our weekly texts available on our website, currently only in Russian, but we intend to translate it into Komi and English to reach broader audience and also spread information about Komi people and the challenges they face. So yeah, like, follow and repost and so on. If you want to collaborate, don't hesitate to talk to me. Yeah, so our focus is broad, and we are not a news agency, so you will not find current news on our outlets. but we focus on the language. And last but not least, every week on Sunday usually, we have a post in Komi language, either Komi words, Komi phrases, or recently we had, on last Sunday, we had a post how to make traditional Komi jewelry from peony seeds. So if you're interested in something like this, follow.
Yes, thank you. That's something that we talked about yesterday as well. Like, I was wondering who your audience is. So, who do you invite to read you, and who would you ideally like to read your content?
I would, of course, ideally like to reach audience inside Komi Republic. And this is our main target audience. However, as I already mentioned, we are a very toxic organization in Russia, and of course, security and safety of Komi people is the first most of the highest importance for us. So that's why, I would not. I would encourage people to read our outlets. It's still not prohibited in Russia. There are no cases, unlike in Belarus, when people were arrested or prosecuted for reading terroristic materials. But something like sharing or like, I think recently there was the first case, maybe Natalia will correct me, when people were prosecuted for just simply putting a like on a terrorist material. So be careful with that. But reading is still not prohibited. And our main audience is actually in Russia. These are young people from the age group of 25 to 32, according to our statistics, and more than 80% are from Russia.
Mm-hmm. Alex, you are also active in the webs community, aren't you? So, what is your work with regards to the webs?
So I'm trying to do my best in networking of webs people. Yeah. So many of us are abroad now, especially was born in Russia. Yeah. And now in all over the world, United States, Europe, Norway, there are Vepsian people. So I'm trying to do my network, and at least we exchange our experience and exchange our life and lifestyle, cultural tradition. And I would like to meet with all Vepsian people. Maybe I will write a project or so on, you know, but under some umbrella organization or I don't know. So I have plans for connect more Vepsian people in Europe, probably in my own town, city Riga, or in Narva maybe, I don't know. So we have plans, but not so much we can do because we are abroad of Russia and there are not so many Vepsians here, but from time to time, especially after the war starts, many Vepsians are abroad, I'm sure.
Yes, so the preservation of identity is something you would...
Yeah, and the identity of Vepsians is very important now.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Lana has mentioned the younger demographics. And that is something that maybe many people are interested in. Like, is there a difference in political orientation or like the type of media that younger people consume, as opposed to older ones? And does that trickle down into anything? I don't know. Alex?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So, is there some, like, do you see a difference between the media consumption and political preferences of younger people as opposed to the older generations?
I consider myself as a young person, so I don't know what's the perspective of an older generation. but I can see in the internet there are like very active people with creating memes in Komi and like publishing their findings of movies, making video blogs. So there are young people that are really interested in the culture, even if they don't speak the language. They try to learn it themselves, and so there is, I would say, enough of amount of Komi content, and the situation is not bad at all if you compare to other people, I would say.
Yeah. Lana, Natalia, do you have anything to add? Like,
I also consider myself a young person, but I would say that younger generation is more comfortable with using electronic technology, and they rely less on traditional sources such as TV or radio or newspapers. So my grandma, for example, she was mostly, so she could not read, but we still had subscription to newspaper Tribuna or something like this, and she would read it. But of course, even my generation of my parents, they have smartphones, and sometimes they will reach into some Telegram channels, but still majority of the information they get is from the TV sources. And in Russia, it's a state-owned information source, so it's basically feeds you with propaganda. And younger generation, according also to the statistical data, they rely more on the internet sources such as YouTube and also Telegram. Of course, Telegram is now a powerful source to get independent information in Russia because it's not so heavily censored as other platforms. So I would say yes, younger generation has a better access to different sources of information.
Mm-hmm. All of you are living in like, I will call it the West, but let's say the European Union. And I think that is something that we are all, who are concerned with Finno-Ugristics, they think about it a lot. What do you think, what should we do? Do you see any kind of, do you miss any kind of action or policy or behavior from Western countries that you would really like to see that would help you out?
Can
yeah?
I say?
Yes, you can. And then Alex.
I think people in Europe, in European Union, shouldn't blame people in Russia that the current situation, about the war, because it wasn't their choice, and they are not really part of the thing that is happening now. They are going to the war. Some people, not all of them, most of them don't support it still, don't support the war. So my suggestion is to stop blaming people from Russia.
Thank you. Alex?
Yes, I agree with Aleksei partly. But I would like to spread my opinion, as I'm also part of European Union now, and I think that the integration of the refugees may be a raised question and became more important throughout the politics in the European Union. So, for example, to make those people statements on the asylum ask, refugees that came from Russia right now should be prioritized, by my opinion. And integration. So European Union countries should do more about integration and language learning, local language learning for refugees that came from other countries, third countries out of European Union. For the future it makes better life and further deep integration for those people.
Lana also wants to say something.
Yeah, I also wanted to support Aleksei Ivanov and say that indeed, I think if anything we learned in the 20th century is that generalizing large heterogeneous groups of people is a bad idea. And I would also like to add that for Europe, when I say that I'm from Russia but my native language is not Russian, is something that is just mind-boggling for them, for majority of people. And I think we can spread the word about indigenous peoples of Russia and their rights. And I know that the situation with the indigenous rights recognition in European Union is also not every time very smooth. But it's a point of growth, and I think this is what we can do, inform and ask for support and for the recognition of indigenous rights.
Yeah, also actually agree with Lana, and I don't think that there should be maybe like some specific policies towards like these indigenous people inside of the EU, but maybe as an advice for European Union authorities, just become interested in learning about these issues. Pay attention to these people as well when they're trying to raise their voices about the problems that they're facing. But also another thing is that I was just sitting and thinking here, it's not about the EU that should do like a lot of things for these indigenous people. I think it's also indigenous people who have to maybe take responsibility of their own lives and preserving their culture and identity, like Komi-Permyaks, who have become like recently quite depoliticized in a way, so they're not like trying to create any kind of political movement in support of Komi-Permyaks rights or whatsoever. So I think taking responsibility and actually taking responsibility of your life, culture and language is probably the first step in how we can make our future better.
So no blame, better integration, and visibility, talking about Finno-Ugric peoples, and giving them platforms is what I hear. Because that would have been my next question. Like there's the policy level, of course. Like what can the people in position of power do? But also, what can laymen do? Like, we cannot change policies. What we can think about what to fill up our 24 hours in a day. So maybe we can. So working for visibility of the Finno-Ugric peoples is not a worthless endeavor. Eventually, there is also this. And yes, that's why I wanted to ask, like, do you see any like international interest in Finno-Ugric peoples? Because you are not the only indigenous peoples of Eurasia, so there are others here as well. So have you been able to create connections? Have you seen any interest from more the west, from Estonia? So not from Estonia, but from more Western places. I think, Lana, you can talk about it more, or because the others live in Estonia or Latvia.
Actually, the only indigenous nation in Europe which is recognized are Sami. That's it. All others don't have this identification. But you are right, in the Netherlands there is a minority, they are Frisians. They also strive to preserve their native language and culture, and strike the difference between them and the Dutch. And I have some friends from Frisia, and they, of course, understand the issues that I'm talking about. And they help us to organize events, to support our initiatives. And I think this is a good point to start. And in general, I see an interest in learning about indigenous peoples of Russia in the West, and this is a window of opportunity for us, I think so, to inform and to fill this gap, not falling, of course, into exotization of our cultures, which is, which one has to think about this extra, but to be more on the on the information side, and also I think to learn from other nations, from their struggles with the colonial past, what are the policies, what are the rituals and so on, which can be already adapted and used. So we don't start from scratch inventing this bicycle, but we can already use the blueprints.
Mm-hmm. Others, have you had any international interest in you being belonging to a minority?
So in Estonia, they are really interested in Finno-Ugric people. I don't know about other countries. I have no contact with others.
Mm-hmm.
In Latvia, I also feel interest in Finno-Ugric people. For example, I had the interview one time. I participated in one blog to show our presence. Yeah, so not so many Vepsians are in Latvia. But yeah, for us it's more or less exotic in Latvia because there are not so many people, Vepsians or Komi-Permyak, for example. I don't know no one in Latvia. But anyway, to show us, to make ourselves visible, I sure Latvia supports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we see that with the Livonians as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I get asked a lot, and I think you get asked a lot as well, is this somewhat maybe Estonian-centric question, is that when are these peoples or republics going to rise up and gain independence and finally become like Estonia? And I'm always very confused to answer that because I don't think that's the right question. The situation is so different. So I ask you, what could be a better question? What could be a more realistic thing to talk about or a goal to set for your people?
Language is the answer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So to talk about language and language learning, it's very important because our languages are, to be honest, dying. Yeah, but I mean, Vepsian language, for example. Yeah, so I think that it should be more or less projects for language learning. Mm-hmm. It's important.
But who should create that?
Vepsians abroad.
Vepsians.
Because I don't know if Vepsians in Russia are still interested in some European projects. I don't know.
No, I mean, the activists can create such a thing, but in my opinion, the rise of the language, continuous development of the language, is only possible when it's a part of the education system. So, so I would say that language can be preserved only from the state level, not from the field activists or something. So our goal in the university is to create the language learning service for all the Finno-Ugric languages that we could reach to get the data for. But it sure won't be enough for saving language.
So you are calling for basically a change of education system in that sense.
Yeah, it should be changed. So Estonians had schools in Estonian, but in Russia there is none of the nations have such thing. So that's why the number of people who speak those languages is going down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
May I add a little bit? From the indigenous studies perspective, I already maybe told you about this, Bogáta. There is a beautiful book by Linda Smith, who is an indigenous person from New Zealand. And there she proposes sort of like tide-based approach, and like an onion, you can think of this. And self-determination is in the center. And self-determination for indigenous people comes only when outer layers are complete. The outermost layer is survival, then it's recovery, then it's development, and only in the center is self-determination. That's why I would say it's now a little bit not, in my opinion, not the time to call for self-determination from the indigenous peoples. Now it's our time, in many cases, to just survive and preserve what's left till the better times when the recovery can happen. So that's why, in my opinion, what we can do as a project and what we are striving to achieve is to preserve the culture, to showcase the parts of history and language for people who are interested in this, who have now the capacity to take in this information. And then when the time changes, we will probably go to the second level. And I definitely agree with Aleksei that the ideal path will be to learn the language in schools, to change the system completely, because now Komi is sort of like a festival and food approach in Komi Republic. We have street names dubbed in Komi. We have grocery, like in a grocery shop, the departments will be dubbed in Komi. But on the other hand, Komi is still not in a political sense present. Komi people are not represented independently as a political force, only as some activists who struggle to be heard. So, yes, we have to change the system so that when you exit your door of your apartment in Syktyvkar, you see and hear Komi language present everywhere. Also, and Komi people have the voice on the political level, because I agree with the notion that decolonization is a political project.
So, if I'm trying to sum it up what you are saying, and you can correct me if I am not accurate enough. So, basically, we are in preservation at the moment. You are working for preservations, for like things to not get worse than they already are. And we are waiting for times to change, which is mostly, for the most part, beyond our power. But times always change, and they will probably change again. But if there are like better conditions ever available, then the first thing to tackle is language and education.
First thing is take power in Russia.
I see. All right. I think I want to open the floor for questions, if there are any. Yes?
For what you talked about, before what seeing Komi as you exit the door. I think looking at Kazakhstan can be a very good example because I've been there a few times, and the culture there, it was so obviously Russified before, but it has changed a lot over the past 20 years. And now, basically everywhere you go, you see the Kazakh culture. So I think that can be something to look at for inspiration.
Yeah, but the Kazakhs are majority in Kazakhstan, so that's different for us.
They didn't used to be.
Huh?
They didn't used to be. They were the minority in Soviet
but
times.
But currently.
Yeah.
So we could have the same thing only when we became the majority. Numbers of Russians are going down in Komi Republic, but I am not sure when we will be majority there and if there will be such case.
I think, yeah, you're right. And I would also like to remind of another example, which is Ukraine, which is striving also to basically preserve their own culture and their own language. So we also have other examples to learn from Estonia.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
You talked about that, but if some nation needs to know some language, the main instrument to learn it is by doing a studying system. For example, we talked about Vepsian culture and language, and in Russia, for example, in Shortozero, like capital of the Vepsian nation, there's an opportunity to learn Vepsian language in school. But I think the main reason why it doesn't work is about that nobody wants to live in villages. But the main problem of the smallest nations in Russia, for example, Finno-Ugric, just because people don't want to live in villages. Because I've been in Shortozero multiple times, and I saw that there's a pretty well situation about the culture. Like there's many places with some historical meaning for Vepsian nation, and but when you're just there, you see many places where it's used the Vepsian language, but the main reason is that nobody wants to live in villages. So if we want to improve the situation of some Finno-Ugric nations or other small nations, there's need to be the better conditions of living for them. Because, for example, Vepsian nation couldn't improve their nation in cities, because it doesn't work together. It's not a culture.
Because Vepsians themselves are from villages.
Yes,
I fully agree with you. Very interesting thoughts, and I can comment.
I'm Stepan Kuokkanen.
Okay, I can comment.
Sorry.
Comparing to Latvia, for example, there are many Latvians lives not in villages but in small towns, or even in houses that are many kilometers from them are no one. So they saved this tradition, and the state Latvia is not against it. They support it. They build infrastructure for them and so on. So small towns now in Latvia are living better than Riga capital. In Riga we have some problems, for example, bad roads, or the city, big city with some problems. But going out from Riga, or comparing to Estonia, I think maybe the same. Going out from the big cities, we see the real life with the very comfortable conditions. So comparing to these Vepsian villages, I don't know. Probably this is also a complicated issue, and the problem of starting from the Stalin's politics of the denationalization of minor countries, or maybe I mistaken, deleting this identity of small minor minorities, for example, Vepsians, and it's right now not finished, probably. It was not improved last 30 years.
But I agree with you that I think urban culture and urban life is something that definitely needs to, there needs to be a space for the minority languages in urban spaces. And I think that we have...
That is the problem, but for example, Web's nation, it couldn't participate all their culture, because their culture is like a village culture. Like it's very close to the nature, as Alex said, and fishing, lakes, and much others. So it's very hard to participate the culture, and so yeah, it can be mixed, could be mixed, but it's like the main culture must be still in the villages. I mean that.
I think there's someone wants to answer you.
Yeah, but you know, it changes. Like 120 years ago, Estonians were called Maarahvas, which is like land people. So, and nowadays we are in the country where like parliament is in Estonian, everything is in Estonian. So, and there's no German. I don't know, not many people speak German here, probably. And it may also be the same change with Vepsian, I think, and with other languages. Yeah, for that we need political entities, that's for sure. But this is another story. This is more a political story than a linguistic one, I think. Thank you, sure.
We will, okay, but then we have to wrap it up.
So I understand what you're talking about, but if we're talking about Germans and Estonians, it was their it was their progress. Like it's yeah, it may get help from others, but still it was their own progress, and they progressed by its own nation. And I just agree with you that for example, small nations must be in the urban cities and participate there, their own culture. But it's like very important to some cultures, small cultures, have their centers in their original nature, I say. Just there must be some centers. For example, in Show-to-Zero, is zero language usage right now. Websian usage zero. Like,
yeah,
but people know it, but don't use it.
But Show-to-Zero is the main village, main small town of Vepsians, but no one use Vepsian and so on. So, but yeah, I agree with you that it should be political
Here we come to the
decisions and so on.
That will be next panel.
Okay, you can continue this discussion in the lunch break, but I really want to thank you, the panelists at in this current panel, and for the audience as well.